It's April Davis, PI, February 3rd, 2025. Yes, I'm wearing my Seattle Mariners Kuma Bear cap. It's supposed to rain for the next 4 days here in Los Angeles. I'll believe it when I see it. I just want to give you a recap of today's news. I was busy, couldn't watch the mainstream news, so I just happened to catch up today on Thread. Let's see what it says. As a Canadian, no amount of propaganda could make me hate my friends in the USA. Elon is fast becoming the most hated, untrusted immigrant in America. I agree with the news media that he is a national security concern. Breaking. Millions of Americans are today struggling to come to terms with the realization that the rest of the world looks at the USA the same way Americans tend to view Kanye. Dear Canada, I just wanted to remind you that you provide 33 terawatts of power, 60% of crude oil imports, 99% of the U.S. natural gas, 1/4 of U.S. uranium, and a lot of red meat, tons of chocolate, and half of the wheat consumed, including whiskey and beer production. If I were you, I'd start with shutting off the power during the Super Bowl. I live in the U.S. Should I start flying the Canadian flag? I want to make it clear whose side I'm on. Here's a good one. Oprah Winfrey decides to stop legendary show, plans to move to Italy. I can't live in the U.S. for the next 4 years. Blue America loves Canada and Mexico. You are great neighbors and have always come to our aid. We deeply apologize for all of the recent and upcoming events. I don't even know what to call it. Yeah, that about says it. Anyone else remember how Canada stepped up for Americans stranded on 9/11? They took them into their homes, nourished their bodies and their souls, reminding all of us of the goodness of people. Now that is true. My father lived in Northeast Canada on 9/11. One of my besties here in Los Angeles lived in Canada most of her life and happened to be on a business trip in Northeast Canada when 9/11 happened. The planes landed. They were literally towing the planes off the airport taxiways onto the roads, and people were walking around in the streets like zombies, passengers, carrying their luggage, not having any place to go. Canadians opened up the door to those people, most of which were fellow Americans. Canadians by the thousands have already canceled their vacation plans to the U.S. Yeah, I believe that. I am an American planning my vacations in Canada and Mexico. I'll spend my money supporting countries who fight back. Thank you, Canada and Mexico. There has been an absolute change in the relationship between Canada and the U.S. We will never, ever be allies we once were, ever. The Canadian people will never again buy from the States in the same amount we did just weeks ago. The Canadian people will never again visit the States in the number we did just weeks ago. We did not break our word. He did. No matter what happens with the illegal tariffs on Canada, the relationship between our countries has been irretrievably broken. So as a Canadian, do I cancel my upcoming trip to Florida next month? Dear Canada and Mexico, the world stands with you. Love from Korea. He folded. Mexico and Canada won. Do what you must. We understand and support you. Dear Canadian neighbors. It's still called the Gulf of Mexico, and we're still honoring Black History Month. Period. Well said. Thank you to all the people of America and other nations around the world who are currently speaking up in support of Canada and Mexico right now. Went out for coffee with my family, and they ordered Americanos. The barista handed them to us and said, "Here are your Canadianos." Canadianos? Instead of Americanos? Canadianos. More of these, please. I don't believe for a minute he legitimately won, any more than I believe he was actually struck by a bullet. Interesting thought. Headed to Canada for vacation in a couple of weeks. Genuinely happy to spend my hard-earned U.S. dollars in a country that deserves it. To our neighbors to the north, I am so sincerely sorry. Please know that there are many of us down here who are absolutely horrified and heartsick by what is happening. Sending support and love from the USA. Yeah, I second that. Should we be taking out all of our money in cash right now? Asking for a friend. Okay. I will boycott the USA, but I will support Canada. I will support Mexico. I will support Denmark. Love from Sydney, Australia. With all the ridiculous talk of making a free country like Canada that's actually a larger country than the USA, the 51st state, how many of you would rather turn your state into a Canadian province? Just curious. I think that would be a yes here in California, but it'll never happen. I don't think the world will ever see the USA the same again. This Canadian is overwhelmed by all the support for Canada from all over the world. Love to you all. Love Americans too. We know there are millions of you who are kind and peace-loving. One bad Cheeto does not spoil the whole bag. This 30-day pause means nothing, people. We will continue to buy Canadian. We will not travel to the U.S. The Gulf of Mexico was and always will be known as the Gulf of Mexico. Do you agree? Canadians should fly right over Florida and Texas for vacations and head for Mexico instead. When you talk Mexican heritage, please don't forget California was once part of Mexico. Let's not act like that didn't happen. Talking about go back to where you came from, babe, this land was theirs first. California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. All of it. If the USA goes to war with Canada, I am absolutely enlisting to join the fight. My only worry is that I'm too old to join the Canadian military. I'm sure Canadians would prefer a winter vacation in Mexico as opposed to Florida. Is it wrong that I'm hoping that Canada and Mexico take us over so that we can get some health care? Yes. I watched a flock of Canadian geese fly over my grocery store this morning, and I wanted to salute them. I am so disappointed in you, Mexico. Why did you give in to the pumpkin man? Please, Canada, hold the line. Canada, please know California doesn't want you to be a USA state. No, we would rather join you as a province. Will you have us, please? I am so proud of all the countries around the world right now supporting Canada. Apparently, Latinos all are Mexicans again, and you know what? As a Cuban, that's fine. I'll be Mexican. The trade wars are a distraction. Keep your eyes on Elon. Interesting. Canada has cut off electricity and oil from the United States. I'm leaving my Harris 2024 bumper sticker on my car for the next 4 years. Sure, eggs are now $15 a dozen, at least here in California, and planes are literally falling out of the sky, but at least he renamed the Gulf of Mexico. As of February 1st, 2025, Americans will no longer be allowed to hunt or fish in Canada. Any American attempting to enter Canada with firearms and fishing equipment will be arrested. Who the F picks a fight with Canada? I will not rest until they drag Elon out by his hair plugs. Can someone please explain to me what the tariffs are really about? Canada is responsible for 1% of the fentanyl entering the U.S. 1%. So what is this really about? Good question. Dear level-headed American neighbors, I just hope that you and like-minded Americans understand that we do not hate the USA. We are all North Americans and are a country of lovers, not haters. We welcome all of you with open arms. We just don't want to get continually screwed, all because of some off-colored megalomaniacs quest for world domination. Love and hugs, your pissed off Canadian neighbor. I am really disappointed that Mexico folded this quickly. Hey, Canadian friends, we are still totally cool with you doing your thing to punish red states. Go for it. We love you. Has anyone else, aside from my family, canceled all foreseeable trips to the USA? He caved on the Mexican tariffs like the cheap suit he wears every day. Toyota already is closing plants in the United States because they refuse to pay 1 penny of Trump's tariff. Being American is effing embarrassing right now. Sad but true. Canada canceled its $100 million Starlink contract with Elon. Canada, do not give in. Signed, a very tired American. It's time for California to join Canada as a country, the ultimate road trip. I am absolutely furious my grandpa migrated from Italy to Ellis Island in the 1920s. I could have universal health care right now. Sad, but true. My daughter had dual citizenship and has decided to give up her American citizenship. I'm in shock, but also very proud of her. Somebody said they need to turn MAGA into Mexicans ain't going anywhere, and I'm living for it. Dear Canada, please adopt New England. We're just south of your border, and we'd love to be a new province. Canada. I don't care if they have delayed the tariffs. I'm boycotting American, regardless. April Fool's Day is canceled this year because there's no bigger joke than what sits in the Oval Office. Oh, God. Dear Canadians, I still don't blame you if you boycott American products. I would too if I were you. Love your friends in northern Vermont. Fun fact, Canada shares a land border with Denmark, about 1.5 miles, and can join the EU. That would be the European Union. Some Americans refer to Canada as America Life. I've visited Canada, and as an Aussie, I can safely say I've never been to another country that feels more like home. I stand with Canada. Let's send it, boys. Do you know how hard it is to get Canadians angry? When we bump into a wall, we apologize to the wall. We say thank you to the bus drivers. We pretend to know your friend John from Toronto, even though we've never heard of him. We are the most level-headed and polite people you will ever meet. So when we get angry, it's for a darn good reason. Dear Canada, Mexico, and the world, we love and support you. We're fighting like HELL. Love, Seattle. Did some grocery store tourism in Mexico. 30 eggs for $4.50 US. My refrigerator has no eggs. It makes me very sad right now. Welcome to Canada. We don't have billionaire South Africans telling us what to do. I'm Canadian, but Americans are my family. Canadians plus Americans equal together. Breaking. British Columbia says it will no longer buy American liquor from red states in response to the U.S. tariffs. Well, Canada, I'm so effing proud of you. Can you focus on taking Elon down next? I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I still call it the Sears Tower. Do you think I'm going to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America? Thank you, Canada and Mexico, for proving my dad right. When you stand up to a bully, they back down. Yeah, I think I'm going to end it with that. Well, before I end it, I just want to do mail call really quick. This doesn't happen that often on this channel, but here we go. This is from Wasilla, Alaska, from Bags Packed Family. Beautiful. Thank you, Cedar. And I love cats too. Good night.